Let's dive right into that, Bella. And what I was hoping to ask you today is, first of all, just get a sense. Well, first of all, I want to ask all of our attendees, if you would just type a Y on the chat if this is your first Lunar Alchemy session. If you have never attended this before, I just want to get an idea of how many folks are brand new to this. Awesome. Welcome. Well, we're really happy to have you. There's quite a few of you that have never experienced this before. So, Bella, I'm just curious to hear about your experience with lunar alchemy so far and how you look at what it is that we're doing here.
I'm feeling that we are going to go around the wheel and that we probably won't stop. I'm feeling that it's like a spiral dynamic and that we're following the transits, we're following the elements, we're following the astrological signs, and we are working with letting go of the shadows that are veiling our true self. And it goes kind of in, yeah, it feels like veils kind of thing, and that's what we are. So every time it's a different part of it, and then a new nuance, a new shade of our skin kind of comes out fresh. But for me, it's not a linear journey, it's really a spiral journey that we are doing.
Mm, beautiful. Yeah. I I love that idea that it really gives us an insight into how the cosmic movements, the movements of the sun and the moon, are assisting us in our evolutionary process. I also want to ask everybody attending today if gene keys or human design is entirely new to you. Just type a Y on the chat if you're not familiar with gene keys. Just let us know. It looks like a lot of you are probably familiar with it. And as the sun rises and sets each day, and as the moon goes through its lunar cycles, it gives us an opportunity to evolve through the energies of the gene key and where those cosmic bodies are located, as well as the earth where we're receiving that from in the gene keys. Um, Bella, before we kind of tap into Simone's wisdom, I wanted to see if you have where we are on that calendar so we can just take a look and see what the energies are that we're looking at.
Yeah, if you give me the ability to share, I'll share my screen.
Yeah, let me get that for you. There you are.
Hey. So here we have where we are right now with a full moon. So we have the sun is here and the earth is here and the moon is right in front. So we have an opposition between the sun and the moon, and that's what's creating the full moon here in Scorpio. And then
Beautiful.
we see that we have all the other planets here in the Taurus energy. Taurus is kind of simple. It likes the body, it likes the senses, it likes to be present in the now, eating good food and you're feeling others. And it's reliable, it's consistent. It's ruled by Venus, so it's about beauty and love. And then we have Scorpio that's much more complex, that likes to go deep and even die in order to get rebirth. It has to do with that darker part of our sexuality. So it's a very different energy. So here we have those tensions, and the moon there, the moon does, the moon is home in Cancer. That is a much more, it's an energy that is much more nurturing than Scorpio. So she's not super happy up here. And then we actually have what we call a T square. We have Saturn here in Aquarius. Saturn it's an interesting, there are interesting tensions and aspects right now that are pulling us. And like you can hear about a little bit about what I'm speaking to is that very different energies pulling on us, and the planets are not necessarily happy where they are. We have Uranus here in Taurus, that Taurus likes the consistency, the reliability, and Uranus is all about kind of putting up the volume, like 100 times, and it's not predictable at all. So a lot of energy is going on. And I heard today, while I was listening to some astrology, and saying that the hardest of all the moons is the Scorpio moon and the full moon. And I happen to actually be born in Scorpio full moon, and I'm a Taurus. So I feel like somehow my life is being shaken. So maybe that's also why I have like some bumps in the road of like coming on the webinar, or you know.
Mm,
Yeah, that's
indeed.
what's going on astrologically right now. And we could speak about, you know, where exactly and what gene key and all that. I know we might go in more into that tomorrow, John, so I want you to guide me, you know, where we go from here.
Yeah, well, I'd love to spend a little time speaking with Simone about the influence of the full moon. And as you can see on the chart there, the moon, when it's full, is lined up directly with the earth. That's how we end up with a full moon. And tonight is the first super moon of 2021. And that occurs when the orbit of the moon around the earth allows the moon to pass closer to the planet. So if you have an opportunity to this evening, you may want to look at the full moon as it's rising, because it's going to look quite a bit larger than normal. So that's kind of interesting, and we may get some information when we talk about Simone about how those super moons give us a really expanded opportunity to engage in the energies. Bella, I'm wondering, you know, what we've been doing in lunar alchemy is looking at the reflected energies from the moon. No matter where the moon is placed, it's always reflecting energy from the sun. And except on a new moon day, we can witness that light as it's being reflected from the sun. So I'm wondering if you could just give a little bit of information about where the sun is right now and what those light energies are, so we have some context for what we're going to uncover with Simone.
Yeah, so still this opposition, you know, I have to say it is important, because we have the earth and the moon, and then the other side of where the sun is. So I feel the two themes is this: the 27 is about nourishing and nurturing, the caring energy of how do you care about yourselves, how do you care about others, what is that balance between giving out and receiving. And the thing we often say, you know, put your mask on first, when the mask was the gas mask inside the airplanes, you know, put it on first, the oxygen mask, and then on your child. So that's very much the energies. It's a tribal energy. It's me and my tribe. I'm going to care for my tribe. I'm going to nurture what is alive. I'm going to think about the coming generations, a tribal energy, a communal energy. And then at the same time, we have this energy where we have the moon and the earth right now, that has to do with your unique purpose. You know, where are you going? And it's a more individual purpose. And I feel like what we are waking up to is to balance the tribal and the individual, so that you can be here nurturing a tribe, having a family, you know, being there for your people. And at the same time, that spark in you that has to do with your purpose and your direction and your rebirth, and rebirth again as a bigger person, as with more growth and awareness and more embodiment, that is also key. So marrying those two parts, and that's what I feel right now, you know, where the sun is, like the reflected energy has to do with these parts of ourselves that are integrating. So integration of different kinds of energy, and to be able to hold all these energies without getting kind of pulled off center too much. That's what I would say is the theme for where we are right now. The sun is where the sun is right now, and that relationship to the moon and the earth.
Thank you. That's really wonderful. The whole time that you were speaking, I was having all kinds of just my whole head, my back, my neck. There was energy flowing through there, and giving me those tingles about what's going on. And what we've been doing in lunar alchemy this year, in 2021, we got started in February with this process. And what we've been doing is allowing the energies that are being illuminated by the moon in its reflective nature to illuminate these shadow aspects within us. So something that's going on whether or not we're paying attention to the movement of the sun and the moon or not. Each day as the sun rises, it's shining these energies for us to alchemize in our own process. And the moon each night is reflecting these energies. And when you're speaking about that role of higher purpose within that tribal community, it really illuminates the shadow of Gene Key 27, which is selfishness. When we experience our needs as being more important than the needs of the tribe, that's where selfishness creates greater separation. It stands in the way of allowing our own unique contribution to become a part of the community that we truly cannot be disconnected from. When we express that selfishness in the world, it causes a disharmony within our community. So in our regular weekly lunar alchemy sessions, that's what we're looking at, is alchemizing that shadow frequency, not as an element of our experience that needs to be separated, but one that needs to be integrated into a higher frequency. And that's what's really exciting to me about what we're doing in lunar alchemy, and how it has the possibility of really allowing us to move our evolutionary process forward in kind of an accelerated way. So with that context being provided, Simone, I want to tap into some of your soul gifts here today and talk about the role of the lunar and solar energies on our evolution as human beings. And for those of you that may not be familiar with Simone's gifts, Simone, I just want to ask you to speak about briefly what it is that you do in tapping into that soul frequency, so we have a little bit of an idea about what it is we're doing here today.
Great. So what I do is I communicate at the level of soul consciousness. So you might think of the soul being outside of the body, but really what I'm doing is I'm going into my body to connect with my soul at the cellular DNA quantum level. And through my body, I'm able through the quantum field to connect with the soul of anything really. So, I really, when you and Bella were talking, and I really wish Bella would come back on the screen with us, because what I truly believe is that what we're doing here right now is a co-creation with all of us, because we're all embodied, we're all on Gaia, we're all connected to the moon, we're all connected to the sun. It is truly a co-creation of souls that we are working with, and so powerful. So I love, and I really love, I was tearing up as you and Bella were talking, because to me, this work right here, the illuminating of the shadow and integrating it as a part of our whole, is how we heal the planet. So to me, this is some of the most powerful work being done on the planet. And your role, y'all's geniuses, your drive and passion to bring this to life is, for me, life-changing for all of us, for the whole world. So I just want to so honor your souls in the creation of this amazing platform program. showing up with your geniuses to heal the world. And it's not just each person, it's Gaia, it's the consciousness of Gaia. So as we all integrate our shadows and become more whole, we're not only changing ourselves and each other, Gaia is changing. The moon is changing.
Yes.
Everything is changing. And so it's this great relationship that we're committed to, from the quanta, the DNA of ourselves. It's all connected. So I'm just so lifted up by y'all's passion in creating this platform, and I'm so honored to be here with you. And just every person who is signed in, every person who is going to listen to this, just thank you. I feel like y'all are already with us, creating an embodiment. So thank you. Thank you. I hope that was a good answer.
No, Simone, really, really appreciate your contribution to this platform of Lunar Alchemy. It's, the three of us have done a number of discussions and conversations in the past that we've been able to share with others. And it's really an interesting experience for me to see how our pathways are moving together. And I know that you and Bella are part of a larger program that you are going to be doing this year in the portals of deconditioning. And it was really unique for me to be introduced to that process and go like, oh my God, that's like really about what we're doing in Lunar Alchemy as well. And so just seeing all things moving together, and for everyone that's watching on Facebook right now and everyone that's a part of this webinar, for those of you that are in the webinar that registered, we're going to have an opportunity to answer any questions at the end. But I think what you said, Simone, is really, really truthful, that our individual pathways of healing is actually contributing to the healing of the planetary experience, that consciousness, to the healing of the consciousness of the moon, and even of the sun, in relationship to each of our individual experiences as we're embodied here on the planet. So I want to ask you, Simone, to see, can you give us some insight into how does the moon actually affect us? I mean, many people are aware, okay, the moon affects the movement of the waves on the planet, the waters of the planet. Women tend to be particularly tapped into the movement of the moon with their biological cycles and how that affects the process of creating a new life. How do the cycles in a woman's body affect the creation of new life? But from that process, as each human being is born, we've been through a process that is influenced by the moon. I want to hear your particular insight about what is going on there and what it is we are set up to evolve through in our embodied lifetimes.
So what I see is, and what I'm experiencing in my body at soul level consciousness, is that in every moment, we're in a process of death and rebirth, in every moment. And if you think, what the moon is showing me, the moon and the earth communicating with the soul of the moon, the earth, my soul, y'all souls. And what they're showing me is that we think of the patterns as monthly, yearly, daily. But I'm also seeing how that is actually an ongoing death and rebirth cycle. And we see it as night and day. But as I watch this geometry, this pattern that I'm experiencing in my body, it is regeneration and the dying off, the sloughing off. Regeneration and what it looks like is just, like imagine a flower being born, but then it's as if that bloom, that life force that rises up, then just sloughs off and rebirths again. And what I'm experiencing is that many of us perceive that the sloughing off, the dying is somehow bad or wrong or counterintuitive to the process of birth. And it's not. That it's part, we see it as distinct, like the life-giving and the sloughing off as two distinct things, disconnected, but it's really birth and death, birth, regeneration. It is one cycle. What I'm seeing is, what I'm understanding is, if we could imagine, just as the earth, the moon goes around the earth, the sun goes around the moon, and we experience daylight and darkness. We experience it as a part of a never-ending kind of continuing spiral. And if we could apply that to what is true, which is that we're in this constant birth, sloughing off, and regeneration. Without the sloughing off, we don't have the regeneration. And actually, the quality of the sloughing off is part of the quality of the regeneration. Mm-hmm. It's almost like the better we become at sloughing off, the more powerful the next bloom is. And we're being asked to just pause for a minute and actually experience that in our bodies at the cellular level. So I'm just going to ask you to join with me in this experience. And I'm being told, I'm seeing that we're each going to join it at a different part of the cycle. So it doesn't matter. Just go into yourself and ask to connect with the cycle of birth and death, birth, sloughing off, and regeneration. Connect in wherever you can, however you can, whatever you might see it, you might feel it, you might know it, you might not have any sense of it, just know it's happening. Imagine that. And breathe with whatever moment you connect in with. And simply I saw the word allow, just allow yourself to go on this journey, this adventure of rising up. With sloughing, falling, folding back in, rising up. And feel it through your breath. Feel it through your breath. With each breath, the in and the out. And what I'm seeing is, as I'm watching your fields, is that some of you are actually literally coming into alignment with this flow. And what you might notice is, as you come into alignment with it through your breath, or how the myriad of ways that it's possible, you might just start to notice the relationship between the moon and the earth. Just breathe with that for a little bit. Experience it in your body. Just ask for the awareness of that in your body. And you might start to notice some softening within you. I'm watching and noticing it not only in my own body, but yours, but it's beyond the physical. I'm experiencing it and seeing it in your cells, in your DNA, in the non-physical. I mean, what a beautiful gift that we've been given, the softening of our energy field, the softening of the energy in our field that makes us up, and breathe into that space. And what I'm seeing is you might have an awareness of the neutrino stream. So now the earth and the moon are giving us this great gift to experience the neutrino stream as we are going through this cycle of birth, sloughing, regeneration within ourselves. I'm covered in chicken skin. This is so incredible. And you might have an awareness of what happens to that whole cycle as the neutrino stream starts to flow through and you are aware of it. And how does that affect your breath? I saw some of you like catch, and I saw some of you expand. It's like we're being taught that the neutrino stream affects that within us in different ways, so that we're having different experiences as this happens. And now I'm being invited to have a conversation about this. So
Beautiful.
yeah.
Simone, I would love to ask in that conversation about the specific opportunity that a full moon allows for in this interaction that we have with the moon. What happens during a full moon? What is the opportunity that we can experience in our evolutionary process, and how can we tune in to that opportunity in a way that allows our frequency to move to the next stage of what is being asked for?
This is how I get it through the metaphor of a drain. So imagine a sink drain, right? And you're in your sink and you might have a little wire mesh net that kind of catches stuff so it doesn't go down the drain. And what I'm being shown is that it's time at the full moon to not only lift out that wire mesh net and clean it out, like really scrub so it gets clean again, but like to like reach into the drain and pull out all that crud, because the full moon is there for us to clean a sink drain out. And when we have the courage to stick our hand down and pull, not be grossed out by the crud in the sink drain, to understand that, gosh, when I clean this sink drain out, I'm going to feel like I've gone to the dental hygienist. I'm going to feel like I've gotten in all the, the crooks and the crannies. And that cleaning out of the drain is part of the rejuvenation, is part of the rebirth. It's like what's sloughed off that you were aware of. Sometimes we're aware of what goes down the drain and we're not aware of some of the stuff that goes down the drain. And it's like, do we have the courage to see what we know is down there and what we don't know is down there? So that's what the full moon is allowing us to do. And it's saying that it doesn't have to be violent. And the violence, in a sense, is from the regret or the resistance when we're cleaning out the drain of what's in there. And it's like, if we could just be a scientist, if we could just be come from neutrality, like, okay, it's time to clean out my drain. This is what I do. I'm committed to clean pipes. So, it's almost like we're committing to cleaning out our DNA, our cells every month on a regular basis, so that we can look at over time, what am I pulling out of here? Am I pulling out the same crud every month? Then lay it out. It's almost like they're showing me, like when you find things and you lay it all out, and it's like, what is this? But I'm seeing no judgment. It's so clean.
Yeah, so that courage to look at the experiences that we may have had over the last lunar cycle, where we may have engaged in the opportunities of our life in a way that didn't provide us the outcomes that we wanted, the results that we wanted, or the experience in relationship that we wanted with the people that we care for.
Yes.
And I love that at first, Simone, you brought up this cycle of life and death, of in-breath and out-breath, of the sloughing off of the things that are not in resonance with who we really are, as this particular full moon, this pink supermoon. We are right in the middle of the codon ring of life and death, this relationship between the specific gene keys that speaks directly to that process. And here we are with gene key 27 that moves through this process of selfishness, altruism, and eventually the transcendence of selflessness. And I'm wondering if you have some insight about the sun's role, the sun's energy in conjunction with the full moon, and how does that play into everything that we're going through? Yes, we're digging down into the depths and saying, wow, the full moon is this opportunity to, without judgment, release those experiences that we may have had in the last lunar cycle that aren't serving us, that aren't providing us a higher experience. But how does the sun play into this as well?
It's coming through in a really specific way, and I'm going to start with you both. So what I was seeing was you started in my screen to become translucent. And before you even started to ask the question, the moon was telling me to point to how both through your vibrations and clarity of consciousness, through your practice of cleaning out the drain, what's happened is your cells are actually filling with more and more light. And just through that practice, if you will, you are becoming like suns in your presence. And through that vibration of just being present, and through the clarity of energy, consciousness, physical matter from your practice of clearing out the drain, you're showing up in the world with light, more light in your cells. So it's like, as you do this this monthly cleaning, you hold more light of the sun in your cells. Think of the selflessness in that. And I love what we're being given here, because it ties right back to what Bella was talking about at the beginning, this balance between tribe, community, and self. So if we can value ourselves enough to take the time on the full moon to clean out our drains in neutrality, not judging ourselves, honoring ourselves for the process of doing this. What's going to happen is, just like through you as examples, and the more I'm talking, like the more on my screen you are becoming translucent. Like I'm seeing the light of the sun through your cells. And that's what the sun wants us to know. That we become the light of the sun through ourselves.
Simone, that really reminds me of what got this all started. Is we did a session on the winter solstice, December 21st. And in it, we experienced a quantum healing activation of the inner sun that was delivered directly from the guardians of light that live within our own our solar center, our soul, the sun. And that is what got us started on this lunar alchemy process, which is to anchor in that truth of the inner sun, and to engage in this process. Every week, Bella and I are meeting with our solar members, that's solar with a U, to alchemize these shadow frequencies so that we can, in tandem with the movements of the moon, we can bring forth our awareness of that stuff that's going down the drain, that's clogging up that process of allowing the process of death and rebirth to happen in every moment. In what led to that solstice activation, I got to experience in a sacred journey the process of universes living and dying, these sequences of in-breath where our cells are filled with life, and that out-breath where they let go of all of the processes of their metabolism, the carbon dioxide and the other cellular processes where they're letting go of things that need to be filtered out of our physical bodies. We do this at every level of our being, at a physical level, a cosmic level, at a universal level. And so this process of lunar alchemy is really we're harnessing this opportunity to experience that each week. And so I'm just going to, for everyone who's interested, I'm going to put forward, because I want to move into our quantum healing. This is the link where you can engage every Tuesday night with Bella and I. And of course, we host some special guests. Simone, I'm really grateful for your perspective in this, and just giving your perspective on what's going on here. What is it that we are actually doing here, and bringing in that awareness of the contribution that we have for the planet, for our community, for humanity, and for the evolution that each of us as individuals are going through. And perhaps we'll have a moment to discuss it. Bella, I'd love to hear more about how you're experiencing your individual journey. For those who are solar members with us, we may have a chance at the end here, but I want to jump into the quantum healing so that we can get that accomplished before the end. What I'm going to do is connect with everyone who's present, not only registered in the webinar, but also in Facebook land. And for anyone who who sees this video in the future, this is a quantum healing where this is beyond time and space. And what happens is I'm going to deliver a frequency packet through the center of the earth, and the earth delivers to each recipient only those frequencies that are in perfect resonance with the evolution of your own life processes. So it is impossible for me to deliver something to you that is not perfect for your own development in this style of healing. And we, in this particular transmission, we are going to focus on the root chakra of the 7 chakra system that's identified through a variety of yogic systems, as it relates so specifically to our physical embodiment and the process of community and how we interact with our community as individuals to transform, to transmute the energies that come up through our DNA, our ancestry, and manifest in our lives as conflict, as disharmony with those systems. So you don't have to do anything to receive. You can't really get in the way of receiving. So don't worry if your mind is going wild with thoughts. If you're thinking about tomorrow or what happened during your day, don't worry about it. You're going to receive this through the quantum field and integrate it in the best possible way for you. So you can close your eyes if you like. Just take in a deep breath and let everything just that isn't serving you in this moment, just let it all go. It is commanded in the name of divine loving presence and by the golden liquid realms and alchemical powers that the chakra restoration and golden activation absolute essence code be used for each person present to activate the root chakra to its highest frequency energy holding potential, allowing for the connection and organic flow of the universal primal life force currents from their higher self to circulate in resonance with universal harmony and in resonance with your higher self now. Ta Asia into Doe. Now, as this activation is being received, those of you who are sensitive to energy, you may feel movement of energy in your body. You may feel temperature changes in your body. You may feel tingles from time to time. For those of you who are not having bodily sensations, that is okay. This frequency transmission is connecting to the universal life force currents that exist within the quantum manifestation template that steps down in frequency into the embodiment of your physical body and allows for the expression of the energetic truth of your highest self that is available to you in this present moment. As you and your higher self are one being, you are not and never have been separated. The experience of the relationship with the moon as a separate body outside of the earth provides us of reflection, an illumination of the experience of the separation of our shadows. And as you receive this activation, the awareness of the integrated self can come through this particular chakra, giving you the opportunity to experience with conscious awareness all that you are. And to release all the illusions that you are not. Ring Lam Om. Ring Lam Om. Ring Lam Om. That is the sacred seed sound of the layer of embodied being that we experience as our root. The deepest reality of our coming into birth and death in every moment, in every cell, with every breath. That sound is vibrating throughout our entire being. Our experience and awareness is largely determined by our resonance with this sound. And this activation is allowing you the opportunity to embody a higher frequency degree of resonance with that reality. So breathe it in and breathe out all that is leaving your experience. Every moment is a birth and death. It is commanded in the name of divine loving presence that new templates, new infusions, and new golden streams of Christos Sophia consciousness, in resonance with the clearings and activations completed, are integrated in the best possible way for each present person from their higher self now, Ta Asia into Doe. And with that, golden liquid light is flowing into your body, assisting with the integration of this frequency. And that completes the quantum healing transmission. It may take several moments or a few minutes for you to feel ready to come back into your body, but simply allow your awareness to integrate back into your physical body, to be present in the room that you are in, present with the interface of this webinar that you are interacting with. Maybe wiggle your fingers and toes to get that feeling of being fully present here. And when you're ready, just lightly open your eyes, take a deep breath, and come back to the room. For those of you present on the webinar that are registered with us here, this is an opportunity for you to share some of your experience. Did you have any sensations? What did you feel? Or what did you connect with during that transmission? I know that Bella and Simone may need to soon move on to their next scheduled event. I will remain on the webinar here to answer the questions for those of you who may have them. You can feel free to type those in at any time. As I mentioned, the link for Soular membership is there in the comments. You will receive a follow-up email with that information if you registered for today's Lunar Alchemy Supermoon, Pink Supermoon webinar. If you're on Facebook, you can access that link in the comments. We'll post that in the future. Welcome back, Simone. How are you feeling? Oh,
That was incredible. Thank you so much. I could feel the vibration. It started at my root and just worked all the way, just awakened all my cells. It was incredible. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Just so beautiful. What a powerful experience.
And Simone, thank you for all of your reflections about the process that we're doing here, and for your insights about how we interact with the moon and the earth and the sun and what's going on in these energies. It's happening both as an experience for us as well as a contribution for our community, for our planet, for our solar system and maybe even our galaxy, if you're able to tap into that level. Bella, I always love receiving your reflections after at the ends of these sessions. I would have loved to have heard more of your contributions, but of course we get to receive that every Tuesday evening. This is live for our solar members. Bella and I are live with our members and discuss in depth each gene key as the sun and the moon and the earth are moving through the cosmos, and alchemize those shadow frequencies. Bella, if I know you have to get going, if you have any last comments before you do, I'd love to hear anything you have to say.
Yeah, I felt for both of you when I was tuning in your guidance. It was right now the planets that are activated, they don't define any centers in the body graph. We have what we call a reflector body graph. Everything is white. Nothing is defined by any planets. So I really feel what Simone was saying. You get to choose exactly, what you're letting go of. Not only what you're taking in, but also what you're letting go of. And even when I heard you, it felt like, of course, the moon, that is that reflective, it has that reflective quality. I could really feel how we don't have to take in everything. We are here to reflect back wisdom into the world. And there is some kind of shift in being in our solar truth. And I feel like what you and I have been doing is putting a new meaning to solar truth. I never spelt it with the OU before, but it's the soul, it's the truth of the soul. And it's not like the masculine being the sun and the feminine being the moon. And we are like not whole if we're not together. No, it's a solar truth in all of us. And we are here to reflect that truth out into the world. So that's what I felt became more more an experience in my vessel as I was sinking into your guidance, and what is it to be reflecting back to the world in your unique way.
Oh, that's perfect. Thank you so much for your contribution. One thing I can always count on is that you are able to express and encapsulate an energetic reality that is going on in a down-to-earth, easy to understand way. Even if you're someone who's tuning in here on Facebook or you're on our webinar, and being a part of Lunar Alchemy is not something that you can engage in. What Bella just shared, every full moon, you can just go outside, look at the super moon, and keep in mind what it is that she just expressed. You say, how can I engage in this process if I'm not engaging my solar membership with Lunar Alchemy? Simply go outside and look at the moon. Look at the sun. Don't stare at it for too long unless it's, in the last hour of sunset or the first hour of sunrise. But you can experience those energies directly and feel yourself as a reflective energy with your experience, with your community, whatever way it is that you are engaging. It's going to take place within you and through you in the most perfect possible way. And Lunar Alchemy is a way that we can engage more consciously with it, to engage with the wisdom that Bella has to share, and with each of those shadow expressions that's coming through. So Bella, thank you so much for being present. Simone, thank you so much for being present. I'm going to stick around to answer any questions. I saw there were a couple of comments from those who are present with us. For those of you who are present on Facebook, thank you for joining us. And we'll look forward to seeing you in a future Lunar Alchemy session. And that's every Tuesday evening. Going on with Bella and myself. We do that now at 6 p.m. Mountain Time, 8 p.m. Eastern. we're going to do that every Tuesday evening for Lunar Alchemy. So you can catch our next sessions, which of course will be going into depth tomorrow night with Gene Key 27. So you can join us for that with a new quantum healing transmission to incorporate that shadow in an even deeper way than we have tonight. So thank you everyone for joining us, and I'll say good night to Bella and Simone. I hope you enjoy tonight's super pink moon. A really fun way to describe it. So I'm gonna go ahead and talk about those. I know Bella, you may need to go. Feel free to go when you as